The way the gluten is made here in America is making your gut bloated. You got to think about our intestines have holes in it. And why are those holes there? It's designed to pull out the nutrients from your food. Okay. When you're eating gluten that is sprayed with pesticides and you're eating gluten that is bleached and refined, meaning it pulls all the fiber out, it pulls all the nutrients out, and you're left with dead food. What's happening is making those holes in your intestines bigger, and that's allowing the toxins and the bad for you ingredients to seep inside of your belly even more. And that's what gives you the bloated look, and it makes your hormones in your body causes havoc. So when you're eating anti-inflammatory foods, the reason people feel their stomach gets flat real quick, it's because those holes close up and get tighter quickly, and it doesn't let those toxins and pesticides seep through as easily.
Hi, I'm Kelly Namiro. Welcome to the Balancing Chaos podcast, a lifestyle podcast where we'll talk about wellness, motherhood, and some really exciting things in between. My goal is to help you develop a lifestyle that promotes health, wholeness, and success. Through my conversations with our experts and guests, I hope to inspire you to live a beautiful, full, and joyful life as you navigate balancing the chaos. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Balancing Chaos podcast, where we are exploring the journey to wellness to empower you to feel your absolute best. And today we are joined by an incredible guest, Jen Smiley, who is, if you guys are watching the YouTube, you can see wearing all the Smiley things. She is an expert food coach who has transformed the lives of thousands by simplifying food choices for optimal well-being. Jen's passion lies in helping people cut through the noise of the food industry, making real, clean eating accessible to all people. Her approach is practical, it's empowering, and it is filled with so many unique insights. So join us today as we delve into the world of nutrition, learning how to make simple, conscious choices that can have a very profound impact on your overall health and happiness. Welcome to the show, Jen.
Thanks for having me here. Hopefully our conversation helps empower people to understand what's in their food and also how just some simple switches could really, really change their inflammation.
Oh, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you because I think it was honestly like yesterday or the day before that I was talking to a client of mine who anyone who I'm working with right now are people who have been with me for like multiple years. And I just started seeing people again after taking like a 3-month break. So it's like, send me a food log, like send me what you're eating. And I get a couple of different logs back. And one of them was like 2 protein bars, bag of chips, popcorn. And like, there's like literally like no real food on.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not anyone's fault, but I think there's so much confusion out there on like what we should be eating. And people start to think that like macros are more important than nutrients.
Yeah.
And so I would love to hear your thoughts on let's start like really macro. What should we be eating?
So what is going on with food? Well, the first thing, this is a big umbrella of many subcategories we can get into today. But the first thing is like, we have to look at it as it is not our fault. No one is teaching us the right way, right? Society in this kind of nutrition panel system has actually taught us the wrong way. And so we're going to the grocery store and we're buying things that say organic or gluten-free or sugar-free, 0 grams of fat, and we're thinking they're healthy. But really, that's kind of the greenwashing labels, the selling tactics the food industry is using. And we're still consuming these chemicals and these ingredients that are inflammatory. Now, back it up even more. I like to tell people it's not their fault because truly food and health here in America is not connected. And what I mean by that is the food industry does not have an emphasis and does not really care about the power and the medicinal benefits of food. And also the food industry does not care about the impact of our health, right?
Right.
So food and health are disconnected. So when someone feels tired, like you listening today, you wake up and you feel bloated, you feel tired, your joints are aching, you look in the mirror and you see, circles under your eyes, you're living with headaches all day. It's not your fault because you're probably thinking, oh, I'm exhausted because I am older. I am exhausted because I'm stressed out at work. I run myself too hard. But like, no one's actually taught us that it is the food. So without this link, we we're not going to be able to identify it correctly. So everybody needs to know that food and health are actually connected.
Yes.
The way you feel is because of what you're eating.
I 100% agree. I think that there has been, like we talked about, like so much mass confusion
Mhm.
here because I think of marketing dollars, right? And like where these marketing dollars are going. And so I would love it if you could go into that a little bit more because I think that people, like you were saying, read these labels where it says sugar-free, gluten-free, organic, and if I'm not mistaken, you are the expert on this, but like, isn't it that like not everything even in the package has to be organic? Like not all the ingredients have to be organic for them to be able to slap organic on the label?
Correct. That is correct. But here's the thing. The stuff you read on the front, okay? I like to say that a product generally is like 98% marketing. It's their billboard. They have a few seconds in front of your
Okay.
eyes just walking through the grocery store. And so they slap on all these things. They make the ingredients very small and they make the ingredients disguise, so to speak. So when you read like gluten free, dairy free, all these things, they're always telling you what's not inside of the package and they fail to mention what's actually in it. You have to be a label reader and you have to read the ingredients and then you have to actually get educated and understand what these ingredients are and whether they help heal your gut or they're actually harming your gut.
Okay. So when we think about what people are going through and experiencing, like fatigue or anxiety or all of these things, and how that's connected to what they're eating, is
Yeah.
there a list that they could go to that like maybe you have as a resource or that you've used as a resource where like they can get to know some of these ingredients that you're just mentioning? Like you have to
For
educate
sure.
yourself, right?
Yes, yes. So I like to tell people that listen, anybody can do this, okay? You don't need a degree in this. There's no certifications out there, right?
Okay.
You can go be a nutritionist or a dietitian. I tell people there's a lot of them out there, but anyone like a regular old fellow, you can go read the ingredients. But then you're going to have to take time researching the ingredients and figuring
Right.
out, okay, is this in the gray area? Are there studies that say, it promotes inflammation? And are there studies that say, and it's good for you? I did that. That took me 8 years. That's why I call it the wake up mission, because I would wake up every morning. I would go scout out grocery stores all over the country.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm like, this month I'm finding protein. And I would go and make sure I could find the most simple protein. Then I would be like, okay, what does chickpeas do? What does sunflower oil do? What does whey do? What does pea protein do? And I started figuring out all these things. And then I started coaching private clients. Then I developed group coaching clients. Then I developed an online course to help reach more people. So yes, we have product recommendation sheet with all the clean swaps. We have an ingredients to avoid sheet. We have clean substitution sheet. So you can know exactly what you're looking for.
Because there's a million and one things out there. It's like, how could we ever know like
Uh,
all of the things on a box, whether or not they're
it's pretty complicated, but it's also really simple.
okay. So here's the one other question that I want to ask you before we go into like how you even got into this in the first place.
Okay.
I had an epigenetics test done like a few months ago, and then I had to like log in and get the results today. And one of the questions on the test was, how often do you eat processed packaged food? And so I'm
Mhm.
curious, as somebody who does this for a living, how often are you eating processed packaged foods? It's like never because you know how bad it is for you.
Well, I try not to. I try to eat high quality meat. But if you're going to eat processed, and I would assume you're talking about like sausages, bacon, you're talking about deli meat, things like that. You want to be
Even like
choosing.
chips or like
Oh, so you're
popcorn or
talking.
I'm like
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
anything.
Oh, that's the standard American diet,
Yeah.
SAD. It's the SAD diet. No, so there's a difference in eating a whole foods diet because that's what we've learned, right? If you go around the grocery store, you stay in the around the perimeter, like that's the best way to eat. But I tell people like, what happens when you want tacos or you want pizza or you want chips?
Right.
Those things. Yes. So what probably what that test is comparing it to is the average, meaning what's really inside of most of those aisles. And I would say 95% of what's in those aisles is super harmful and it's
Mm,
also detrimental to our health. But the stuff that we have found in the products, in the labels, they're made with whole ingredients. So the manufacturing process doesn't bleach these flours, it doesn't over
right.
refine them, it doesn't strip them of their nutrients, it doesn't have preservatives. Like, we're talking whole real foods. So how often do I eat labels or things in products? I'd say probably every day.
Every day.
Yeah,
Wow.
with real food. I mean, I'm using tortillas every day.
Okay.
I'm using clean cheeses, things like that every day.
Okay. So now that like that you said that, I'm like surprised because I would think that like, you're eating like tomatoes and like chicken breast and like only things that are from the earth. So explain the difference and why like some of that stuff is okay.
Yes. So I am wake up and read the labels, right? I'm not wake
Right.
up and only eat whole foods. Like I said, eating whole foods is the best way to be. But for most people, I think our diets are like 75% processed food. And that means we're buying pre-made sauces, we're buying pre-made pastas, we're buying things in a box, right? And so
Mhm.
my objective is to get people to move away from these bad for you products and go to the clean products. There are actually ethical companies out there on the market that had their own health battles and they're making a clean beef jerky. They're making a clean fruit stick. They're making a clean pasta. They're making clean pizza, things that our bodies can recognize and digest. So I try to get someone from stop buying and stop consuming these big brands that are in front of your face all the time and wake up and discover these smaller brands that are using real ingredients and that are going against the grain. And once you do start eating those whole foods, even made in a box, what happens is your blood sugar starts to become a lot more stable. You have less cravings, you're eating less, and you're actually craving real whole foods. So that's
Yeah.
when you're implementing your grass fed and finished beef. And that's when you're implementing your pasture raised chicken and you're buying higher quality everything. And that's when you wake up with energy, your skin gets better, you lose weight, and you get off medication.
Oh, I love this so much. Okay, so I love that you share the difference because I think about like the stuff that we do stock my house with.
Mhm.
Whether that is like brands like Siete, because I
Yep.
know that like I think that maybe their daughter, I mean, reading the package label on the back, like their daughter had like a gluten allergy, and so they did like all the tortillas with like the in a healthier way. And you're right, like so many of these smaller brands, like they do it from a place of like knowing what the processed food does to you and like the impact it has. So for you, I'm guessing that there was some sort of a struggle that led you down this career path. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I was in my mid 20s and I am at this happy time in my life, got married when everything should be right, right? I'm in my 20s, things should be going well. However, my husband is bringing me to doctor appointments and I'm doing
Mm-mm.
scopes and I'm getting prescribed to asthma medication and he's on reflux medication and we're looking at each other going like what the heck's going on? We're like
Right.
24 and 28. Why is this happening? And then I look around in the waiting room and think everybody's young. Why are we here? And what do? They prescribe me medication. No one ever asked me what I ate. No one ever talked to me about like how to heal what's going on.
Are you
And
open
so,
to talking about like what medications you were on or like what like
yes.
specific conditions?
Yeah. So I was diagnosed with asthma.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact, I know I had an inhaler. I don't remember the exact medication they put
That you
me
were
on
on.
for that,
Yeah.
but I can tell you that I used to get a sinus infection during fall and winter every 3 weeks. So I was put on a Z pack every 3 weeks. Okay.
Oh my
And
God.
then with the Z pack, felt like I got yeast infections. Then my doctor would put me on the yeast infection medications, the pill. I never did birth control. That was never a thing, but that's what I was doing. And my husband was taking, I don't know what the reflux medication is off the top of my head. It's been like
Yeah.
12, 15 years, but he's taking that. And so I read this book and it was called The Optimal Dose. Okay. I was getting an IV at a functional medicine doctor's office, and this lady doing my IV was like, "Hey, I heard you say you always get colds. Have you ever checked out like the optimal dose?" I'm like, "What is that?" She says, "It tells you how much vitamin D you should be taking. Basically, when you go get your blood work done and you see that the lab results and it tells you you're in normal range, right? And the doctor will tell you, like, oh, your normal range, you're great. And you're thinking, no, I feel like absolute crap on the inside. I'm not great. Well,
Yeah.
that optimal range, normal range is like everyday people in America, right? If you look around, we're all depressed, we're all overweight, we're
Yeah.
all sick. So we've kind of changed this bell curve of normal. And so you don't want to be normal. You don't want to feel normal. You want to feel optimal. So if you
Right.
get your vitamin D levels up, this whole book talks about how vitamin D levels are just at an all-time low in America, and it's causing us to become sick. It's causing reflux. It's causing all kinds of like muscular issues, all kinds of things. Well, do you know that I upped my vitamin D and never have used an inhaler again? Like, no sign of reflux at all. And look, I used to be the girl in the back of the workout class, like digging in my bag, looking for my inhaler, red, swollen face,
Oh,
sports bra way too tight, like self-conscious, can't keep up with the class, wondering what am I doing wrong? And then I start taking the vitamin D and I start looking at my food. I was walking home from a workout one day and I'm drinking Premier Protein, okay? And I'm reading it and I read like, oh, it's got 30 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, like all these superficial facts. And then I flip it over and I realize the ingredient list is like font number 2. I can barely read. And it's so long, it's like a book. My heart actually sunk to the floor. I felt like gray clouds came around me and
yeah.
I felt betrayed. I felt lied to. So for anyone listening, if you just go and look at your coffee creamer, look at your protein, look at what you're commonly eating every day and start to read the ingredients, you're going to feel betrayed too, and it's not your fault.
100%. It's not your fault because again, like that they're all of these big food companies, they just want to make a sale. And so they're going to
Oh,
market to you in any
for
way that
sure.
they can.
I did a podcast with it was Parker Brooks is his name, and he
Mhm.
owns what's the Lovebird cereal. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Okay. So Parker used to work for YoPlate and another big brand, and he was on the marketing department. And I asked him, I was like, what made you want to create this brand? Why are you putting ingredients on the front? And he's like, listen, I used to be in these rooms where we're trying to figure out how to get more units sold. Oh, let's put a mermaid on the front, to attract kids. Let's go ahead and all of companies do this. They hire their own food scientists to
Yes.
get to put ingredients in your food to make it taste better so that you will eat more and it'll trigger your brain to want more. And so you finish the box quicker and you need to go buy more. They're making
I love that you're
highly
talking
addictive.
about food
Yeah.
food scientists because people don't even realize that that's a job. Like
Yeah.
it's
And then
insane.
and then we can go into the whole GRAS, which means GRAS, generally recognized as safe. So companies go hire their own food scientists to say that their ingredients are deemed as generally recognized as safe so they can kind of skip the board and get their stuff out on the market, and they'll say like, oh, we're going to get our ingredients looked at, but it's going to take a while. But we got it to
Wow.
say it's generally recognized as safe. There's a lot of ingredients out there. There's also a lot of ingredients that are banned in Europe that are allowed in here. It's wild.
That's what I was just going
It's
to ask you about.
it's
Like
wild.
is when it comes to like the regulation of the FDA, like I know personally a lot because of the way that I coach and what I do for a living about like supplements.
Yeah.
But when it comes specifically to food, is there like less regulations that we have here in America than they do in Europe?
100%, which is why anybody listening probably goes to Europe and eats pizza, pasta, desserts, brunch, breakfast, and they come back skinnier and better.
Yeah, that's people. I mean, people say that all the time. You hear that
Yeah.
all of the time. So talk to us a little bit about like we hear things like red dye number 40, high fructose corn syrup, all of these ingredients that are like quote unquote inflammatory. Give us a range of a list of symptoms that somebody might be experiencing if they are eating these foods day in and day out?
I would say this is what I tell people. Like, you listening, you may have, hormone issues, or you
Mhm.
may have super fatigue. You may have headaches. You may have IBS. You may have autoimmune. You may just be overweight. You may have arthritis, right? What's going on is your body specifically is trying to talk to you. It can't
Mm.
take out a piece of paper. It can't write down, oh, this is what's wrong with me. The issue is that you have inflammation in your body. And inflammation feeds all of these chronic diseases and these debilitating symptoms. So you have to wake up to the fact that this is not normal. What I am experiencing, what I'm feeling, what I'm being diagnosed with is not normal. It's a symptom of my inflammation. So, what do you need to do? You need to start eating anti inflammatory. Everybody knows like the Mediterranean diet is super anti inflammatory, right? Why? Because it's very high in omega 3s. The issue with the standard American diet is that it's very high in omega 6s. I'm talking your coffee creamer, your coffee, your chicken. Like now, I looked this up the other day. Americans are eating more chicken than they are beef, and chicken is naturally higher in omega 6s.
Right.
So we have too many omega 6s. Now, I know you mentioned like red food dye. Everybody
Mhm.
knows red food dye is not good for you. And we generally know where to find it. But like something super important that needs to be talked about that could really change your health immediately is getting rid of refined seed oil. So, sunflower oil in your skinny popcorn, um, canola oil that you're cooking with every single day, vegetable oil. Whenever you go to a restaurant and you're getting grilled chicken and a side of vegetables and you're wondering, why is my waist expanding still? It's because the
That's
restaurant is using those oils. So,
yeah.
when you go to the grocery or you're in your kitchen, just look for sunflower, peanut, corn, canola, vegetable oils, and just that's an automatic no.
So you like if you're in your house, you won't even buy anything that has that on the
Oh
label.
my God, no, that is the devil.
Yeah. My husband's like on the same kick. We have literally cleaned out everything
Mhm.
in our pantries that had any of that stuff in it because
Yeah.
it's just we don't want our
It's
kids eating it.
Yeah, and like the thing is, I tell people that a label tells you it's a story about the
Yeah.
quality and the integrity or the truth about this product. And so if you see those oils in there, I'm here to let you know that you are what you're around, meaning all the ingredients surrounding that bad for you oil are just going to be bad as well. You're never going to find a high quality product and they're going to put that oil in it. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah. And can you talk about how those, because again, I'm not an expert, but I do know this, like those oils stay in your fat cells for like 10 years or something like that.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I don't know like scientifically all the logistics of that, but I do know that it does take many months, if not
Yeah.
years, like even if you eat a tablespoon of it. But there's studies out there that show like if you give, a mouse or a rat a tablespoon of those oils a day, that's what happens is they grow cancer, they grow inflammation, and they become obese.
Yeah.
And it's like that's all the things happening to America it's in everything. I
They
can't
are.
tell you the amount of our food that has those oils in it. Literally everything.
No, it was funny that you say that because literally I bought like we were having taco night like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I'm gonna buy some like rice that's in a bag so that I don't have to like cook rice for
Rice.
like 10 people. And it's
Yeah.
like it's the first one of the first ingredients was vegetable oil in the rice.
Rice.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like shocking.
Yeah. So talk to us about before we move on, like when you corrected this, your diet, when you just made those simple shifts where you're like, I'm going to take out the, seed oils, I'm going to eat organic, I'm going to eat less sugar, all of those things. How fast did you notice results?
Yeah. I had 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I went from the girl in the back of the workout class, kid you not, to the front, working out next to Brittany Breeze, Drew Breeze's wife, keeping up with her, feeling like a rock star.
Wow.
Then I raised my hand and said, can I teach this class? And I became a fitness instructor. I taught spin classes. I taught megaformer for 3 or 4 years. And then I got a little itch I want to do something on my own. And
Mhm.
so I had 200 followers. I contacted a social media coach. And I called him and I said, I want to do something that I can, work for myself. What can I do? And he said, what do you like to do? I was like, I love to work out and I love to eat clean. And he goes, take your camera out and take people through your day, making your food and just get uncomfortable on the camera. And I thought, oh my God, okay,
Yeah.
here we go. But prior to that, what got me to call this guy that I should definitely mention is my dad got diagnosed with prostate cancer 5 years ago now.
Oh,
He was 57. And him and my mom called me up and said, hey, dad needs to get robotic surgery to get his prostate removed. Can you help him get healthy before surgery? So I'm like, okay. So I go to the grocery, and mind you, my entire family always thought my husband and I ate like freaks. They thought all of our food is freak food, right? When
yes.
really we're all eating real food. They're all eating the freak food. But I went to the grocery and I got 8 bags and I said, hey, dad, eat this. Like, here's your biscuits, here's your pasta, here's your red sauce, here's your ice cream sandwiches. Like, this is what you're eating. And when you run out, just go grab it at the grocery again. And I also told him, when you go out to eat, text me a picture of the menu and I will tell you what to order.
Okay.
Now, 3 months, okay? He got off of blood pressure and cholesterol medication. He lost 35 pounds. But the most moving part that made me start this company is he was getting his blood work done every 2 weeks to monitor the prostate cancer. They like want to monitor
Yeah.
how fast it's growing. Is it super aggressive? Is the number moving? In those 3 months, every 2 weeks is blood work, the number was shrinking. The cancer was
Wow.
going down. Yes. So I remember his email. He would send me over the LabCorp results. He's like, "Oh my God, we're shrinking the cancer. Do you think I should not get the surgery?" And I
Yeah.
said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm not a doctor,
Yeah.
Dad, I still think you need to do it." But he went into surgery with no inflammation, no side effects, beautiful recovery. I mean, doing amazing. And then I told my husband, I was like, I don't think this works for just me and you. Like, I think
This
this
works
might
for
work.
everybody.
Yes. So that's when I called the social media coach. And then I start putting this on my Instagram with 200 followers. And I'll never forget this lady, Carrie. She's 55 years old. She walked up to me before one of my workout classes, and I never offered anything. I just showed people what I was eating. She gave me a blank check and said, will you take me grocery shopping? And after that, I had over 60 clients in 2 months.
Wow, that's incredible. That's like, I feel like it just shows the need because of how, like, unfortunately uneducated I see all the time.
Confused.
We
Yeah.
have to have nutrition, like real nutrition, as a part of our education system. I mean, I am at a point now where I'm at meetings every month now for my kids' school to try to improve the nutrition program there because it's just like the bottom of the barrel what they're
Yep.
feeding them. And so my question is then, like, when it comes to educating people in terms of, like, again, I think everyone wants to like have a story, like what the stories you're telling, because so many people are struggling, whether that is with hormonal imbalances or chronic fatigue or IBS or stuff that's way more serious, like
Yeah.
cancer and heart disease. And everyone wants that story where they're like, I literally kicked this. I figured this out. I improved this
Mhm.
by changing my lifestyle. And so when it comes to like educating people, I think that I would love to hear your thoughts on, okay, organic, no sugar, no gluten, like grass fed, like what is the most important to the least important in terms of what people should be focusing on when they
Yeah.
think about buying their food?
Yes. So forget all the gluten free, the organic, and the grass fed right now. you need to flip every single thing over that you're consuming and read the label. And if you see one of those oils, you need to put it back. That will really solve like 75% of your guesswork at the grocery store.
Wow.
Because like I said, that oil is in every single thing. Even your pre-made, like you go to Trader Joe's and you look at the meats and it says, like Cuban style pork and all these like pre-made, that stuff is all pre-made with those oils. And so that will help someone's inflammation come down so quick.
So seed oils more important than getting rid of sugar in terms of
Yes,
inflammation.
100%. Yes.
Okay. That's super
Yes.
helpful because I think that so many people, including myself for a really long time. I mean, I know about seed oils, but that
Oh, it's
I've always
bad.
thought that sugar's
No.
causing the inflammation.
Sugar? Nope. Sugar, you can burn off sugar pretty quickly.
Right.
Now, yes, I do get into the sugar thing as well, but
Mm-hmm.
I kind of teach someone like, hey, these are the clean brands, right? If you're getting your chocolate chips, this one has coconut sugar in it. Or if you're sweetening your coffee, you're going to be using coconut sugar, or you're going to use raw honey, you're going to use maple syrup, you can use monk fruit. Like you start to learn those things, but it's not, you don't go and buy like a salad dressing that really has sugar, and you don't buy, um, let's say a coconut milk that has sugar, but like you will find those oils in there. So I would say oil is the most important.
Mm-hmm.
Second most important that everyone is consuming is gluten. And I'm gonna speak it from the rooftop. And I mean gluten, even if you're not gluten intolerant, because
Mm-hmm.
the way the gluten is made here in America is making your gut bloated. So
Why?
you got to think about our intestines have holes in it. And why are those holes there? It's designed to pull out the nutrients from your food, okay? When you're eating gluten that is sprayed with pesticides and you're eating gluten that is bleached and refined, meaning it pulls all the fiber out, it pulls all the nutrients out, and you're left with dead food. What's happening is making those holes in your intestines bigger, and that's allowing the toxins and the bad for you ingredients to seep inside of your belly even more. And that's what gives you the bloated look, and it makes your hormones in your body all causes havoc. So when you're eating anti-inflammatory foods, the reason people feel their stomach gets flat real quick, it's because those holes close up and get tighter quickly, and it
Mm,
doesn't let those toxins and pesticides seep through as easily.
that's super helpful. So, okay. So
Oils,
oils, gluten.
gluten. Next up, I'm going to go there. Dairy.
Okay. So you said you eat cheese. Talk to us about this.
I will. One of my favorite cheese is Dare vegan cheese, Monty's cheese. Miaka's is pretty
Ah,
good if you're at the grocery store. But why I say that is because, again, how the flour is made here in America is super harmful. How our dairy is made is super harmful. I say
agreed.
you are what your cow eats.
Yeah.
That goes for your dairy, your yogurt, your ice cream, your cheese, and also it does go for your beef as well.
Yeah.
But people think they can't have a salad or a pizza without a mound of cheese on it. And I'm like, listen, if you start making a salad and you're adding, peppers on it and you're adding olives and you're adding avocado and nuts and seeds, like all of a sudden you start tasting a ton of flavors. Whereas before, that's probably all you tasted was cheese. And
Right.
so if someone can eliminate this inflammatory cheese and what they're feeding the cows is they're feeding them, I mean, awful things, GMO feed. They're feeding them the wheat, the corn, the soy, all things that disrupt your gut again. So eliminating,
Antibiotics, hormones,
oh,
all of
oh,
that.
oh, it's bad. It's what
Mm.
is making us sick. So do you have kids?
Oh, yeah. Two.
Okay. Did you breastfeed?
Both of them.
Okay. Do you remember? I did as well. Do you remember those little, and everybody listening that has breastfed, do you remember those little strips you would put into your breast milk after you drink a glass of wine or something to see how much alcohol is in your milk?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, you do that because what you're consuming is coming out in your milk. So
Right.
what the cows are consuming is coming out in those byproducts as well. Or when you eat something spicy or something that disrupts your baby's gut and they have colic and they're screaming, they don't feel good, like something's not agreeing with them because you ate it. You have to realize the same thing's happening with the cows and all the products that we're eating.
Beautifully said, Jen. Oh my gosh. Like I talk to women again, like when it comes to hormones and gut health, which is two things I deal with all the time, like about exactly that, because I feel like so many people don't realize that. Like people do not recognize that, like it's whatever they're eating, you're getting. And so I would love to, like, now that we covered those three things, because for me, at least, especially when we're eating at home,
Yeah.
and it's even really rare when we're eating out, like those are three things that we follow religiously: no gluten, no dairy, and
Mhm.
no refined seed oils in our house. Now, when we think about this whole idea of organic, non-organic, it's really interesting. I was talking about this last week on Instagram. I saw this post where there's these guys, out in the field spraying the pesticides on the produce, and they're
Crops.
wearing literally hazmat suits to spray the chemicals,
Yeah.
but then we're eating
Yeah.
those foods.
Nope.
So
It's dangerous.
talk to us about the importance of organic versus non-organic.
Yes. So I like to, first of all, I think there's different categories of how to heal your gut and how to get your inflammation down. I think that America is like so disconnected from where their food comes from and what food really is and how it's having an effect on their health, that like I try to get them from, oh my gosh, you're on the deep end, you don't know what's going on, to, hey, look, these are clean brands. And then we get your inflammation down and you see a substantial difference in your health. And
Mm,
then you evolve. You don't stay there, right? You probably didn't get sick and eat horrible in one day. It was this slow evolution. So it's kind of that way for a healing process as well. So I tell
sure.
people, once you got your inflammation under control, and once you've broken your habits of eating gluten every day and cheese and etc., then you can kind of turn the dial up and make sure you're eating all organic. That's like next level. It's not attainable to go from like eating horrible to perfect and organic.
Okay. I agree with that. I think that too, like there are probably certain foods, and again, you're the expert. So like there are certain things that, would be better off being organic versus not being organic. And if you
Yeah, yeah.
could just talk about like the chemicals like that are sprayed on our food a little bit, I think that
Yeah.
would be super
Yeah.
helpful.
So the most widely used is something called glyphosate. You can also follow, I think it's the Glyphosate Girl is one. And I've had moms across America, and they're basically these companies going out and testing our food to see how much pesticides are actually in it. But pesticide studies have been shown to cause adverse health effects and health risk to our bodies, and our kids are being exposed to it. And
Mhm.
so essentially what's happening is, you don't want your crops to die, right? Because then you're going to lose out on money, and we're not going to have food year round. Like people expect to have cucumbers year round and mangoes year round, when really 100 years ago, you got it seasonally. So
Right.
they're spraying things on our food to make sure bugs don't kill it, to make sure that the crop doesn't die, and to make it withstand, horrible, terrible things that would naturally kill it. And so we are getting exposed to that when we are eating. I can tell you, like Quaker Oats and Cheerios and
Yeah.
Sabre hummus, they have one of the highest levels of glyphosate on the market.
Yeah, I saw that there was like a research study that came out pretty recently around
Yeah.
all of that. I think that was
Yeah, I saw
really
Oprah Winfrey
fascinating.
making Quaker oats, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Another thing is a fun fact. I tell people oats bloat. It's an
Uh-huh.
easy way to just tell them, like, avoid that. That food makes you only sicker and more bloated. But oats are really high in omega 6s. Oats also spike your blood sugar, and oats suck all the minerals from your body. So me
Hmm.
saying oats bloat is like a quick way to kind of get someone's attention. If you think about it, oats are in everything. Why? It's
Everything.
really cheap. They can pay like 20 cents for a lot of oats and sell it for $4. So why wouldn't they want to do that, right?
Hi, I'm Kelly Namiro, your host, certified holistic hormone coach, and Pilates instructor for the WBK method. You can consider me your guide in helping you curate the very best version of yourself from the inside out. Feeling physically better by optimizing your hormones, to feeling mentally and emotionally better by creating a more deep and grounded connection with yourself. I get questions all the time in my DMs about things like, what supplements should I be taking for my menopause symptoms? Or is it normal that I'm always exhausted? My doctor said that's what happens as I get older. Or maybe I gained 20 pounds in the last couple of years and I have no idea how to lose it. And even I'm chronically bloated and I've tried every elimination diet. Please help. But here's the thing. There are no quick fixes out there. Until you know the root cause of what's going on in your body and you use precision supplementation, a targeted diet, and mindset and lifestyle changes that are specific to your unique circumstances and lab values, you're never going to be able to heal. Throwing just random supplements that make all these promises or a restrictive diet at a weight issue is never going to work because it's not focused on what's going on internally with you. And often we can make the problem worse when we do these things. And that's why I've created the WBK Lab Review Package. In this package, you'll receive lab kits and a custom lab form based on your symptoms and health history. Once you've completed the saliva kit for your adrenals, the stool kit for your gut health, and the blood tests for your hormones and other health markers, we'll sit down together and create a customized plan that will help you balance your hormones in a holistic way so that you can lose weight, have more energy, maintain a balanced mood, and achieve the results that you've been wanting. This year, it is time to get the results that you've been dreaming of because you're targeting your unique system. If you're ready to experience more energy, comfort, confidence in your body, and relief from those nagging symptoms that have been bringing you down, I would love to support you in doing just that. This program includes a one-on-one call between you and me, all of the labs needed to create your customized protocol, and a PDF with your unique plan that you'll be following going forward so that you can take your time in implementing your new diet, supplements, and lifestyle changes. To learn more about this, head to the link in the show notes or go to wellnessbykelly.com to learn more about the WBK Lab Review.
Let's talk about ingredient label reading, because I think that that is something that probably could overwhelm a lot of people. And one of the things that I know you pride yourself on with your brand is like, let's make it simple. Like, let's make it easy for people so that they can, fix their health and in an accessible way. And so talk to me about, like, if you're teaching somebody how to read food labels and like there are words on the back of some of these boxes that like I can't even freaking pronounce. Yeah. What are people looking for? What should they try to understand from reading, from like being at the grocery store, turning over a box and being like, okay, I'm going to put this in my cart or I'm not going to put this in my cart?
Yeah. So there's a couple things. I always tell people, if you don't recognize an ingredient, neither does your body. And so that means when you're reading, like, for example, Jif peanut butter, they have mono and diglycerides. And then I say, take that one word and ask yourself, do you want a plate of mono and diglycerides for Thanksgiving? Odds are you probably don't, right? Or you can even ask like a fourth grader who just learned to read. You'd say, hey, will you read, this label and this label? And they might look at a clean label and say, oh, this is cashews and this is salt and this is, I don't know, let's just say coconuts, right? And you'd say, oh, fourth grader, do you know what cashew, salt, and coconuts? Can you pick that out on a picture board? And they'd be able to match it. And then you go over and you say, okay, fourth grader, what are these things? Can you tell me what sodium citrate and mono and diglycerides and rapeseed oil is? And the kid would probably look at a bunch of pictures and go, no, I don't know what that is. So it really is common sense. If you can ignore what's on the front, if you can also ignore counting your macros and counting your protein and things like that, and just start counting, I say chemicals, essentially, eating foods you can recognize, you will believe in the process and you will trust it because you will notice a difference in 24 hours if you get all clean labels. Also, when you're reading a label, start at the top. Whatever's at the top of the label is what makes up most of the product. If you get all the way to the bottom of the label, the ingredients portion, and you recognize the last ingredient, meaning it's salt or it's parsley or it's cilantro, if it's a real ingredient, odds are everything between it was real as well. And then truly just making sure the ingredient list is short. You'll probably notice now going into your pantry or the store that like there's literally 20 to 40 ingredients per label. So look for things that have 10 or less.
Okay. I love that. 10 or less. That's like an easy target marker for people to look out for when they are shopping. I think that's super helpful.
Yeah. You start getting over 10 and things get wild.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of reading. um, so when it comes to like what you were saying about, thinking about macros, do we care about that at all when we're thinking about our transformation of our health, or only after we've started to get rid of some of these chemicals?
Well, I will tell if someone, I do have clients that are like so obsessed with it. They
Yeah,
are, they've been doing it their whole life and they think this is the way. And so I tell them often, you've been counting macros. So why are you looking for another way to get healthy, right? Is that working for you? If you do the same thing over, the same result's going to happen. But if you do something different, then something different is going to happen. But if you are so married to your macros, well, then making sure you're eating clean and counting your macros, like do it. But I can tell you that you're having to count macros because you're probably so hungry throughout the day. You want to eat all day that you have to make yourself shorten it up, right?
right.
To stay in your caloric restriction phase and you hitting your macros because you think that's going to build all your muscle, things like that. Whereas if you're eating real foods and you're intuitive eating, you eat when you're hungry, you don't eat when you're not hungry, you're going to get the proper amount of food that you need. And you're going to realize that 3 meals a day has been created by society. And I need energy drinks and I need coffee all day. Like these are all effects of America just really not eating real food and being starving all day.
I love that you brought up the piece of this puzzle around like real food and like how, because I know you have had, I was like looking at, client transformations of yours and like the people who have lost weight just by transitioning to eating real food, because real food is going to satiate you more. It's going to keep you feeling fuller for longer. Whereas like what we were talking about before with some of these like food scientists and the whole idea around processed food is designed to keep you addicted.
Yep.
It's because you never feel full from it. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. And it's because, first of all, preservatives that are put in there, additives, emulsifiers, these things that give you that mouth taste feel, these things that trigger your brain. Like when you eat a Betty Crocker vanilla cupcake, I mean, that vanilla is like bursting inside. It tastes so amazing, right? And then you go eat a real vanilla cake made with real vanilla bean. While you taste a more high quality flavor, it doesn't like electrify your brain that you need more. Instead, you get full off of one slice. You're like, I'm satisfied. That's amazing. I'm not needing to fall asleep. I don't need to unbutton my pants, things like that. Whereas when you're eating all these fake ingredients, yes, you're addicted to food. A lot of people say, oh, I have a sugar tooth, a sweet tooth. I'm like, you don't have a sweet tooth. Your body is just craving more food because you're not supplying it with nutrients and real things. The number one thing my clients report is in the first week, they're eating less food overall. And it's because their blood sugars are more stable. They're getting higher quality sleep. They're having more sustained energy through the day. And there's no more cravings.
No more cravings because you have more nutrient stores. Your blood sugar is stable, like you were saying. And then those hunger and fullness hormones are not all over the place. You're like ghrelin and leptin because you are eating real food and it's not impacted by all those chemicals. So I love all of this. I think that's so important. One more thing, I want to do like a rapid fire at the end with you about brands, because I think that will be really fun for people and helpful.
Yeah.
But before we get there, since you have kids, I think that one of the biggest struggles that people go through, I have one picky eater and one eater who will eat absolutely anything under the sun. And even my picky eater, he's not so horrible. Like he'll eat salmon and broccoli and like, it's just like a very small grouping of healthy foods. But I think a lot of people struggle with like, my kid only wants to eat butter noodles, or my kid only wants, a Yoplait as a snack. Like, how do people get their kids healthier food?
Okay. You just said that. My kid's like knocking on the door, like, so I'm ready to eat, mom. Okay. So the first thing I always tell my clients is you got to start with you. If you sit here and think, I need the whole family to be on board, I need my kids to eat this, and I need my kids and my spouse to see this, you will literally be waiting forever. History never fails to repeat itself, right? So your kids see what you're doing and they're going to do what you do. And so I tell people in the beginning, what you can do is bring the food in for you. And then your kid might say, like, oh, mom, let me try that chip, or let me try that tortilla, right? Let me try this. And if they like it, put it on a list and go back to the grocery and get that. Like, put that on repeat. If you can find one thing a week, that's
Yeah.
4 things a month, right? That's 16 things in 4 months. So that's how you start with them. But some raving fans, some favorites for kids is like Belly Brand pancakes, Belly Brand cookies. My kids love Snow Days, which is frozen like pizza pockets. If you look at Annie's, they're using the enriched flour. They're using all kinds of trash preservatives. That's sunflower oil, whereas Snow Days, they're using cassava flour. They're using high quality red sauce, no preservatives. So understanding these swaps. If your kid, you still going to give them a chicken nugget. Well, you want the Purdue organic or you want Applegate organic. If they still want hot dogs, you want to make sure that you're getting the higher quality hot dog. And then let's just say like Taco Tuesday night. Okay. How do you make that cleaner and you're only making one meal for the family? If you get grass fed and finished beef and you get clean siete taco seasoning that actually tastes amazing, and you get your, like, I really love Coyotes tortillas, which is just cassava, coconut oil, salt, and lime, 4 ingredients.
Yeah.
And then you get your kids their tortillas and you put the toppings out. Well, now you just had to make one meal and you're not really changing a ton for the child, but you're giving them higher quality meat, higher quality seasoning.
I cannot even believe that. Like, that we don't really buy anything Annie's in our house, but like, again, like just an example of the like organic and like, it's like, it says that on the label. And so you're like meant to believe like that these pizza, you know, whatever bagel bites that you're buying your kids are like healthy, and sunflower oil, all these like, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
I know. It is.
See, it makes me like upset because it's like you're tricking people almost.
It's capitalism from the food industry, 100%. Like all the brands you see is owned by, I think, 6 companies. There's like it's 6 to 10 main big companies, and they own all the companies. So if you think you're eating like, oh, I eat Newman's Own because it's so much better than Bunny bread, it's like, no, they're pretty much all owned by the same person.
Oh my gosh, that's wild. The things we learn. Okay, so for people out there, like let's go through, okay, like bread, milk, you know, cookies, pancakes, some of the things that we were talking about. Like I'm just gonna shoot off food names and you tell me what your favorite brand is. So let's start with bread.
Plentiful Kitchen. You can use the code WakeUp10 for 10% off.
Ooh, I love that. Okay. Yeah, protein powder.
Protein powder, Paleo Valley, just the bone broth protein. I tell people we all have an inflamed gut. When I talked about those holes in your intestines, eating whey, the whey amino acids promotes more inflammation in a leaky gut. You should really only be eating whey if you're like super flat stomach and you have no symptoms.
Yeah. Yeah. So so the bone broth protein is not whey. It's like actual
Correct.
bone broth.
So think about it. When you're bloated, and I told you the toxins seep out and you see your skin is breaking out and you're getting wrinkles. What happens, what builds that up quicker is collagen. So that bone broth protein is going to help restore your gut quicker and your skin quicker.
Okay. Protein bar.
Protein bar. Oh, I just made a post for this. I'm gonna go with Paleo Valley, the superfood protein, because you really should not be getting more than 10 grams of protein in a bar. You should be getting your protein from real, like meat, seafood, eggs, right? And so if you are depending on a bar to get your 20 to 30 grams of protein, odds are it's a very low quality bar filled with inflammatory ingredients that are like combating the whole point of even eating protein. Good protein bars only have 10 grams or less. I think Bearded Brothers may have one as well.
Why? Tell us why. Why is why is it that you want to be getting your protein from real protein sources? I know the answer to this, but
it's a full amino acid panel, and it's going to have higher vitamins A and D. It's going to have much more omega-3s, and it's going to be the higher quality meat protein that your body needs.
okay. Yogurt.
Yogurt Kalina.
Okay. Oh yeah, is it coconut yogurt? It comes in a little glass jar, right? Yeah.
That is Coconut Cult. He's really good as well.
Okay. Cheese.
Cheese, I'm gonna go with Monty's. She's the best.
Okay. And there's no seed oils in that?
Oh no, hers is like squeaky clean, amazing. She's got cream cheese. She might even have some butter. She has some cinnamon sugar stuff you can put on your toast. Otherwise, I'd say Dare vegan cheese, DARE.
Okay. Milk or like plant milk.
Yep. I love Three Trees milk. I love milk. But a new favorite one of mine is called Live Vessel. And there is this toasted coconut creamer, a hazelnut creamer. If you want to break your coffee mate addiction, you have to order Live Vessel. Order 12 of them, stick them in your freezer, use one a week. But it's all organic. It's real vanilla bean. It's only sweetened with maple syrup, and it tastes like king cake in a bottle.
Ooh, I love that. Okay, we'll have to try that. Live Vessel. I'm gonna order that. Okay, like candy or chocolate.
Candy or chocolate? I would say my favorite chocolate is Dat chocolate, DAT.
Okay.
Sweetened with only dates, hence the name. And candy, there's not really like a super clean candy. If you go to Whole Foods, you'll see, I think it's like sweet something for candy. I don't know. If I give my kids candy, it's always from Whole Foods, but it's not perfect, but it doesn't have the dyes in it, and it's better.
Okay. Tomato sauce.
Tomato sauce. There's the Cucina Antica, and there's also Seggiano is my favorite. It's tomatoes and extra virgin olive oil from Italy.
Okay, beautiful. And there was one other one that I was going to ask you. What was it? Salad dressing. It's her brand.
Salad dressing, probably Tessie Mae's, I would say is the best.
Okay. Any other brands that are on your mind that you want to tell us about?
Of course. What do I want to tell you guys about? For wine, Dry Farm Wines.
Okay.
Lovebird cereal, Joey's hot sauce, Sweet Addison's cookies. I love ground up nut butters, Belly Brand, brownies, cookies, pancakes. And I love Peak for your matcha needs.
Okay, you guys, this is like all of the what everyone is always asking for, like the actual brands. Like this is like a gold mine of information here. So thank you for sharing that. So yeah, if anyone wants to work with you, learn more about the offerings that you have, where can they find you?
Yeah. So I always tell everyone, follow me on social media at Wake Up and Read the Labels. I have podcasts, YouTube. My main thing is Instagram. But if you're looking for 3 common foods, killing your energy and ruining your day, go to freemorningguide.com.
Okay. Amazing. Jen, thank you so much. This was so fun. And I feel like I learned so much. So thank you. I really appreciate your time.
Yes. And know that we have over 2,300 clean product swaps. So that was just a few.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you guys got to go check out her resources. Thank you so much.
I really hope that you enjoyed that episode. You can follow me on Instagram at Wellness by Kelly or head over to our website, wellnessbykelly.com. Sign up now for the Wellness by Kelly 7-day free trial on our app or head over to our course and now get 20% off the course or 10% off of the membership with the code Balancing Chaos, all one word, BALANCINGCHAOS. In our course, you'll get access to an emailed lab review plus protocols built out to help you heal with whatever hormonal imbalance you're struggling with. With our membership, you'll receive a library of content with our app with low-impact workouts, blood sugar balancing recipes, and mindfulness meditations, all designed to help you balance your hormones and help you feel like you are living your most beautiful, joyful, and vital life. If you like the show, please leave a rating and review. That is the best way to help the show grow and get to more listeners. We hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next week.